today's program, we're going to kick off with a presentation from Richard Larder, who is the head of digital innovation at Dyer Engineering. Richard will be talking about how they are leveraging location in boosting the efficiency around asset tracking. So interesting stuff. With that program, I'm truly excited about today, and I'm going to introduce now the floor to Richard. Over to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Richard Larder, and I'm here to do a presentation on boosting efficiencies with asset tracking at Dyer Engineering. So before I dive into that, I just want to give a brief overview of our business. And so we are a specialist in the batch production of machined fabricated metal components, ranging from small ones that you can hold in your hands right the way up to the large ones that you can see on your screen here. We supply a variety of sectors, ranging from rail, automotive, defense, oil and gas, subsea, and have a variety of services as well, ranging right the way from the start of the CAD design process all the way through profiling, fabrication, robot welding, painting, and into final assembly and shipment, as well as lots of various kind of quality qualifications needed for those marketplaces. So who am I? I am the head of digital innovation at Dyer Engineering, and my main overarching goals are to streamline operations, increase productivity, safeguard the future of the business, and improve customer, supplier, and employee experiences. So I wanted to kick things off with one of my favorite quotes from Henry Ford. If you need a machine and you don't buy it, then you'll ultimately find that you've paid for it and haven't had it. And that was from the turn of the century. The man came forward with that, and I think most people will be able to empathize quite considerably with that when they have finally had to make quite a significant investment that they've been apprehensive about, and then seeing the wins and benefits that it can bring. So I'm sure most people here are familiar with the fourth industrial revolution. I just wanted to bring up this slide to show that it's happened before. It's been done before. This isn't the first time in the human story that we have come to a point in our development where such opportunity is laid ahead of us, and there is a significant shift change in the landscape in terms of what can be achieved and what can be done with the emerging technologies. This picture dates back to the 1970s and shows, you know, the old and the new coming together. And I suppose the point I'm trying to make is the change this time round is going to be more significant and happen in a far quicker period of time. The rate of change is far bigger, and the period is far shorter. So again, before we get stuck into the detail, I wanted to go and share what I have taken as my distilled understanding of a digital journey in terms of various projects and how they can be categorized to essentially achieve operational excellence. That's what we're looking for. Is well-run facilities, you know, reducing costs, maximizing profits, all the standard stuff. But how does that apply to the fourth industrial revolution? Well, leveraging data, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more detail later on. Operational process automation. And what do I mean by that? Well, that's all the functions that happen supporting a business. Ours is a manufacturing facility, so what goes on behind the scenes to support that. The production process automation, asset tracking is one of those functions, along with automation in terms of manufacturing techniques such as robotic welding, cobots for assembly purposes, self-servicing business architecture. So this doesn't just relate to employees. You know, if you think about the concept of Google, you know, people can pretty much find out most things through searching. And what we're trying to achieve is that same function within our business for our employees to find the answers that they need, and also for our customers and suppliers to be able to self-service and get what they need directly and just shorten those channels. And then finally, it's about communication and connectivity. And with this post-COVID or post-pandemic world, I think we've all seen the sea change in terms of the world becoming a far smaller place in terms of people that you communicate with, and how businesses can reach out now to a global supply chain and network, and also how we communicate internally. You know, email, I think, is playing second fiddle to the likes of Teams communication now. So there's lots of buzzwords that go around the space of Industry 4. Some people will be further down that journey than others. Some people may be a little overfaced. One approach that I take to it is it's revolution through evolution. Okay, so it's not one thing that does it. It's a multitude of adoption of new and emerging technologies, be it AI, IoT, as in the asset tracking, the use of robotics, cloud migration, and all these various aspects form part of the projects that I'm going to give a little summary to. And then we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive on the asset tracking side of things. So these are an overview of our digital projects. This slide's a little old. We've actually got quite a few more going on at the moment. However, time is quite limited, so I'll touch upon some of these relatively lightly, and then we'll go into the asset tracking for the purpose of what this whole event is about. But I think it's nice to complement that with some of the other aspects. So our digital journey started with cloud migration from our email server starting to Creek about 5 years ago. And it was a bit of an accidental first step forward into the world of emerging technologies, cloud technologies. And yeah, it's been quite a rapid rate of change since then. So with the option of either investing in an on-premise server or going to software as a service with the new Office 365, at the time it seemed like an absolute no-brainer. I think most people in this room will probably be on that 365 platform now, and will notice the full suite of applications that are available compared to what historically was available, and I'm assuming are starting to leverage the power of what these are. So for us, we've invested in the SharePoint element of the 365 ecosystem, mainly because that allowed us to go and hang all the other functions off it. So, for example, you know, the ability to create apps through Power Apps and Flow, we could hang off our intranet. We've got some virtual tours, which I'll go into later on. We've included a learning management system, which falls under that self-servicing element that I talked about as part of the operational excellence and the digital strategy. We have our KPIs. Again, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. And obviously our asset tracking and COVID track and trace system. So reasons to migrate to the cloud. As I say, I'm not going to read through all these in a great amount of detail. I'll let people do that themselves. For me, it's that flexibility of having a global reach, not limited by geographic locations. There's obviously the benefits of security, backup resilience, but there's actually a human element to me, and that is the attracting and retaining the best talent through a modern user interface and support and flexible working. So the next one I wanted to talk about is big data, or in the space of manufacturing, that would typically be the ERP software system. And most people, well, I say most people, some people might not realize what a huge asset that is of untapped potential, and what can be achieved for not a huge amount of cost. So we use Epicor. It's the 6th largest in the world. It is, we've been running that system now for 8 years, and we were actually one of the first adopters of shop floor data collection, and we have since been able to leverage the collection of that data to get some real good insights. So in terms of leveraging data, there are 4 main pillars to that for industrial data. That is, the first one is your data acquisition. how are you going to get hold of your data? As I say, we were one of the first adopters in the 90s for shop floor data collection, and just showing what a rate of change technology adoption is. In the manufacturing space, that is now commonplace. You know, at one point we were one of very few. We're now one of many, and it's become a general backdrop. And I make that point just because some of the technologies we're talking about today will soon be commonplace. And so, you know, there is a great advantage in becoming an early adopter, because you've got that competitive edge. If you're a late adopter, then you've just got to pay for the tickets to get to the party, because everyone else has got it. So it's a cost of doing business. So once you've got your data acquisition, you're then into your data mining and processing, and that's defining the various concepts of how you are going to cut that data and analyze it, and what you're hoping to get out of it. You're then into the presentation of that data, and that's turning the data into information so people understand it. We're then in the insight to performance and making sure it's easily understandable. And the fourth area, which is one of the trickiest, and I'd say our journey in terms of leveraging industrial data runs left to right. As I say, we've been got 30 odd years of data acquisition. But over to action and strategy. It's how do you review that data? How do you monitor your decision makings? How do you know that the strategy that you're doing is working, and monitoring and improving it? So as I say, for us, those are the four key elements for data, and as new technologies adopted, you know, the amount of data it produces is massive, especially when you look at sensors, especially when you look at real-time asset tracking. The data that's there is considerable, and it continuously grows. Here's an example of some of the information that we've been able to get out of our system. I'm not going to go into these in any specific detail, but just wanted to touch upon the core concepts of essentially some basic knowledge of SQL, crunching the data in Power BI, and then showcasing it on SharePoint or your company intranet. And then opening it up to the many, you know, rather than it just being sat in terms of the management or the senior leadership team. You know, data should be available to everyone, so they can help drive direction and improvements within the business. And I'd say this whole concept of data analysis, presentation, review, strategy, regardless of what new technology you're adopting, it absolutely has to be supported by a level of data analytics and presentation. Otherwise, how do you know? How can you monitor? How can you improve? So this is just a brief one for us. We're a manufacturing facility. So what do we do? Well, essentially we sell time. We estimate the time it's going to take to do something, and then we monitor our performance on how long it actually took us, and we have internal review cycles for improving that, for improving our quote estimates, and reviewing when things start to deviate on the shop floor from what the standard time should be. And you know, historically that could be quite granular on a job by job basis. But actually, by going through some of those concepts before, we were able to pivot that data, by division, by department, by operator. It's a very powerful solution, Power BI. It's essentially, you know, Microsoft Excel on steroids. And again, I'm sure most people are quite familiar with it, but it can provide very, very powerful insights and exceptions to getting to grips with what's going on in your business, and if there are any problems, and how to address them quickly. So the other area I wanted to tap into within the 365 space are the digital workflows, which are made available through Microsoft Flow and Power Apps. And essentially, this was the first creation of mobile applications which don't require heavy coding. Generally, you know, the right people can pick this technology up or this way of writing apps within a few days. And we have done a variety of things, you know, from a simple holiday request app through to an accident investigation app, and we're now currently working on utilizing intelligent new product introduction information to be made available on the shop floor, as well as some applications that we're looking at as part of the asset tracking program that's been underway within the business for some time, which again I'll touch on shortly. So benefits of digital workflows, obviously with any workflow, if it's digitized, it's possible to monitor it, identify bottlenecks, address those, see where things are holding up, and then you're looking to improve them. You know, have we got the right resources here? Who's doing what and when? You know, you just got that clarity to it. So industry 4 on a shoestring. So everything that I've talked about up until this point is what can be achieved with a very small budget. You know, we're talking monthly subscription costs to the Office 365 ecosystem. I'm not a Microsoft reseller, by the way. It's just been one of the things that has allowed us to gain quite a lot of traction from and make a good head start in the industry 4 adoption. And what can be done for a small amount to gain confidence in larger investments. So, you know, the only additional one there, I think, was a license for Microsoft BI. It said £7 a month. It's also possible to engage with local universities, and there's quite a bit of funding available out there as well for early adopters of technology. So I'd certainly look at that. So asset tracking. We came about looking at this as part of an engagement with Sunderland Software City around their digital manufacturing program. And at the time, our problem was we've got 11 units covering 100,000 square feet over 2 sites. At any given time, we have over 1,000 jobs or works orders, and so that is a requirement to produce a given batch of parts. And our range of parts in the last 12 months extended to 1,600 different types of parts. So we have huge variety of parts to try and manage through the shop floor. And those parts will go through an average of 13 operations. So that means that if we've got 1,000 plus jobs, then we've got 13,000 open operations at any given time. Again, just for a bit of clarity, what's an operation? Well, for us, as we're a manufacturing operation, would be say laser cutting, possibly bending, welding, machining, inspection, painting, assembly. You know, the core processes that run through our business. And you know, trying to essentially get all these parts through, you know, in the right lead time and meeting customers' requirements was one hell of a challenge, and still is to a certain degree. And at the time, we thought, wouldn't it be an absolute godsend if some sort of technology existed which could tell us? And you know, we were just wanting, we would have been happy to know if it was in which warehouse it was in, you know, of the 11 units, which one's it in, just to give us a starting point of trying to track things down. So our problems were significant, and that was especially when it came to new product introduction. You know, so some of the product lines that we do, you know, there is a bit of an 80-20 split there, where 20% account for 80%. Everyone knows those. They have nicknames like headless cows or bats or racing cars. So people know what they look like, and they can see them by the eye, and it's common knowledge of what happens to them. However, when we introduce a new part which is unfamiliar to the workforce, no one knows what it looks like. And our engineers were spending a huge amount of time on the shop floor just trying to find out where their parts were, and then starting to expedite them through the shop floor and all the various processes that I've talked about. So a real challenge, as I say. So with the engagement with the digital Catapult, and what I'd say, this is UK specific for us. So they are a non-profit organisation who are set about to essentially create good partnerships between manufacturing and any other business sector really that is looking to adopt technology. And they've got very strong links with startups. And yeah, and know a lot of different technologies and the various people behind them. So we engaged with them on a program called Digital Manufacturing, which was essentially a bit of an educational course around the industry 4 technologies, what's available, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. And on that course, there was a invitation to apply for a competition from Innovate UK, again a UK-based government scheme, and the purpose of that scheme was to essentially get a demonstrator site for Industry 4 technology And what they were looking for was an SME, as I say, demonstrator site. And the reason for that was they identified that 90% of the productivity that could be leveraged or improved in the UK was going to come from the SME market. And ironically, also that was one of the biggest obstacles to technology adoption, mainly because it comes with investment, and there's not a huge amount of proven use cases, or that all important ROI, where people can go, okay, well, yes, generally a financial director, he's happy to go and invest in a laser or something that you can touch on the shop floor, but something a little bit more speculative, like these new and emerging technologies, the SME marketplace needed to have more confidence, and so therefore, as I say, some government money was made available for that. We wrote a very compelling case where we were very enthusiastic at the early stages, and to become that demonstrator site, and unfortunately we were chosen to do so. So that started our engagement with Quuppa and our technology partner Think Inside, who are based in Italy, but not before we went through quite a stringent process of reviewing the different technology providers that are available. And from memory, I think there were about 10 different applicants looking to be the technology partner, and that the investment costs and capabilities of those technologies range quite considerably. At the top end of the spectrum, you can have some technologies whereby the asset tags are passive, and they get powered. I'm not entirely sure on the technology. I assume some sort of induction, and that the investment cost for that was outside of our range as an SME. I think certainly suitable to a blue chip who would have a long-standing vision potentially, but for us, we found that the Bluetooth low energy solution, which does require a small watch battery, which lasts around 3 years, depending on use, and the trackers are very hardy going. I think we've had one that died to death in the shop lasting shed, but apart from that, we've still retained them all, and they're still working as expected. And yeah, so the technology allowed us to identify where parts were within our factory, within about half a square meter, across all those different locations and in real time. And so our adoption of this technology has actually changed over the course of time since we've had it. It started as quite a passive solution, basically where's my bits, and guys on the shop floor, team leaders, supervisors, people essentially expediting parts, would query the system to find out where parts were, and then they would go and move them along their way. However, as we've embedded in the technology, it can offer a lot more. So one thing that we were keen of at the start of the project, and one thing that we do quite well internally, and that is data mine or get access to the raw information and then start to play around with it. So what I'm showing you here is one of our, we refer to them as a departure board. And so this lists all the operations that are available for a given department. And this one, it's our machining operations at our Anfield site. And this is everything that is identified as being available. So what does that mean? Well, it means all the previous operations are complete. So it's up to this operation, and it's ready to be processed. So, which is fine, but the operator goes, okay, yes, I do need to work on this top job, but I don't know where it is. However, working with Think Inside and being able to adapt, well, not necessarily adapt, but just gain access to the raw data behind their system, we are able to link it to our ERP system and then surface it on these hybrid Excel sheets. So on the right-hand side, you can see there is a zone. And so the most important job that we've got there that needs to be turned, and it's got to, we use 99 dates to really highlight the urgent jobs, not just late, it's very late. But it does get them through on time. And this top job is in a weld shop. So rather than the operator being stopped looking to try and find this job and the machine not running, or potentially he's going to start dropping onto another job, which is less important, which builds up work in process and ties up cash. Instead, we've got a flag straight away that the parts are in the wrong location than when they need to be. And what I would say before I go into the return on investment is the work that we're doing now is we're trying to turn the asset tracking system from a reactive system where things are queried to a proactive system. And that's looking at things like smart material movement. So, you know, out of all the jobs being, or all the jobs that need to be processed, how many are in the wrong location? And out of all the jobs that are in the wrong location, which ones are the most important? Then applying a priority system to it, and then having dedicated material movers to go and surgically move parts or products around the factory. So we keep our work in process as at a bare minimum. We're able to reduce our lead times. We can get greater throughput. We're exceeding our customers' expectations. So we are still in the early stages of that, but we are looking to go into a pilot program within the next month. So my point is, although this technology can be adopted from what you see as a use case day one, once it's bedded in, it starts to highlight lots of other future opportunities of how else it can be leveraged. Now, the all-important one, the return on investment impact. And this is the one that people really struggle with, because it's a pretty hard one to try and quantify and measure. So we came at it a couple of ways. The first one was we took a rough rule of thumb and forecasted that this should give us between a 5 and 10% increase in our productivity. And so what does an increase in productivity means? Well, for us, we're a manufacturer, and so what do? Well, we sell time. Yes, we do manufacture things, but it's manufactured against a quote, and that quote has a set number of hours at given cost rates to manufacture the parts. Now, we compare that against the paid hours of our direct employees. So we know, right, well, we paid, in this example here, 339,000 hours. And what do we get paid from our customer? Well, we got paid 190,000 hours. So not a great overall efficiency, but from where we were to where we are now, we did actually realize a 5% increase in productivity. And so a 5% increase in productivity would equate to 9,500 extra paid hours annually. Our profitability or markup on a given hour is around 20 quid, fluctuates between 19 and 21 overall. And so if we were able to get an extra 9,500 hours, well, that's 190 grand on the bottom line annually. So some serious returns there. However, increases in productivity are generally attributed to a multitude of things. If there's work going on all the time through our continuous improvement drives, engineering cost out, looking at different factory layouts, which again, the asset tracking and the Quuppa solution can look to do through localized heat maps of where bottlenecks are. And so the second one was looking at searches. So how often does the system get queried? And we looked at over a period of several months. Adoption was pretty slow to begin with, I would say. However, that has grown and grown and grown. And I'd say we average around 25 searches a day, which, if you think about it, isn't a huge amount given the amount of product that's going through, the size of our facility. 25 queries wondering where something is, possibly a little conservative, if I said so now. So that over a period of a month would be 500 searches. And if we go, well, hold on, if this solution wasn't here, how long would it take that person to go and find the parts that they were looking for? And again, it's a little bit of an estimate. It's not a pure science here, but it's about an hour. Observing individuals walking around looking for parts. When they're looking for parts, it's not just them. They'll go and engage with other people. Hey Bob, have you seen this? No, I don't think so. Go and speak to Jeff. He's over there. All right, Jeff. Or anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something else. And before you know it, an individual that might only spend 15 minutes to find his part has actually stopped and spoken to 4 people along that journey. So my point is, time soon adds up when people are looking for items. And if they weren't looking for those items and are actually able to add value, and again using that £20 an hour, well, that's 10 grand a month, so 120 grand a year. So the savings that can be achieved through a solution of this nature range from between 120 and 190, somewhere in that ballpark, and that is using the system in its passive nature. We haven't yet leveraged what can be done in terms of the proactive smart material movement. And if I go on to the other benefits, so the other unsung heroes that this solution has been able to provide was again working with Think Inside, who are very innovative company and forward thinking, and they were able to adapt their solution for a proactive track and trace. So that's contact tracing of our employees. And I'm sure people here can sympathize with all the controls that they've had to put in place within their working environment to ensure the safety of their employees, and that can be trying to enforce social distancing, personal protective equipment, screens, various controls. Some manufacturing businesses certainly wouldn't allow people to come into the offices because they can work from home, but the guys and girls on the shop floor, they can't go and take a laser home or a press brake home or a machining center home. So they've got to come to the workplace. So therefore, they need to be absolutely safeguarded from any potential exposure. And again, this demonstrates that once you have this technology and it's bedded in, it's only constrained by your imagination. Once you've invested and you've got it, you can then start to leverage for a multitude of solutions. So we never thought that when we first brought this in, that we'd be able to use it to help prevent the spread of COVID-19, and especially looking at the risk profile of our business. Because most of our products go through the same set of processes. They're all going to be cut on a laser. Predominantly, are going to have to go through bending, then they're going to have to go through welding, then machining, then the paint shop. Now, if there's an outbreak in the weld shop, you essentially stop any output, any product going through. Everyone's got to self-isolate. We knew of businesses that actually had to shut down for 11 days. Our business would not be able to financially sustain being shut down for 11 days. So this solution worked as a lifeline for us, as we have had a handful of cases. We were able to identify those individuals. Well, they identified themselves, but from their identification, we could then use the track and trace. We could see who they've been in contact with, and we're able to surgically remove and isolate individuals in the business, which prevented any major outbreaks or potential commercial ruin. So that was a great success story of being able to adapt the system. The smart material movement I've spoken about. We are looking for the real-time positioning of parts and for the production planning processes. So again, that was that departure board screen showing the priority of list of work, and also if parts are in the wrong or right area. And we're also looking to create some color coding and possibly LED proactive nature of products on the shop floor to identify what needs to be moved. As part of a larger piece that we're doing with the engagement with the university, we have a 3-year PhD researcher who's looking to leverage AI for production planning, along with other projects. But within that, it's not just production planning from the ERP perspective, which is the theoretical location of where parts are and where they need to be, but the actual locations, the real-time actual locations. So it's able to prioritize and make the best decisions available in the given work areas of what work needs to be worked on in what order. So again, some real benefits there to what lays down the road in terms of development of the system. So why? A brief summary of what the solution does. And again, I won't read through all those. I'll let people sort of pick as they see fit. But what I would say is, things that we're looking at now is the identification of slow moving or dormant jobs. What's happening. We can start to set out alerts or alarms about why things aren't moving as they should do. We can review the traffic. What is the traffic flow of product through the factory? Can we change our layout? Do we need to go and invest in additional machines if we've got particular bottlenecks in particular areas that aren't easily identifiable? And I suppose all the other sort of main benefits that I've referred to previously. So virtual factory tours, and the reason I wanted to talk about this one is that it actually dovetailed in really nicely with the introduction or the implementation of the asset tracking solution. So our technology partner of choice for that was Think Inside. As mentioned previously, I believe they're actually based in Italy, and so you know, planning the implementation of this solution did span several months in terms of what that looked like. However, as we were getting into the industry for technology adoption, it was quite surprising how many startups were really needing to have a use case to get their foot in the door of other businesses to basically showcase their technology. And on the back of winning the competition from Innovate UK, another company called Synergy VR really wanted to have a use case to add to their portfolio to show the power of virtual reality for site tours. So they offered to do scans of our facility free of charge, which I'm going to endeavour to show you. So I'll just click on this link. This is one of our main facilities, but we're actually going to go to another one here at our Anfield Plain site. So this is the reception area of our Anfield Plain site. You can see there some typical small batch production parts that we do. I'll just walk you through into our back office, where we have all the production planning, administration, purchasing, production management areas, and then through into our quality office. As I say, we have high requirements for adhering to very tight tolerancing for the automotive industry. And then if we go onto the shop floor, and I'll just take around this racking. So why is this significant? Well, during the planning stage of installing the equipment and the array of antennas, essentially what that was going to look like was sending a set of engineers over, getting ladders, taking photographs, identifying where all the receptive equipment necessary for the asset tracking needed to go. However, as we had this digital asset of our factory layout across our different facilities, it was possible to actually scan up and look at the infrastructure and basically the I-beams on the ceiling. And the guys at Think Inside, sat in Italy, were able to sit down and plan the location for all this equipment, and then provide the installation specifications to our maintenance team, who were then able to and it wasn't very heavy. This stuff just runs off some network cabling that's run into a switch, and some bracketry which hangs quite nicely. So not a massive job to get it installed, but it was critical to know where it had to be installed to get the maximum use out the system. So yeah, and you can start to see these are sort of some of our data views, and the guys can actually interact with these screens and query where jobs are themselves in real time. So if anyone's looking for something on the shop floor, they can literally tap onto our main intranet page, come out of it, select the asset tracking, type in the job number, and it will tell them, across those 11 buildings in 100,000 square feet where the part is that they're looking for. Okay, so I won't go into that in much more detail, but again, just wanted to show that with these various digital projects and assets, that what you invested in it for, and okay, unfortunately we didn't have to, but the main wins for us at the time for it were, well, we saw it as a great onboarding tool for health and safety inductions and new employees. As we are a multi-site business, that allowed our employees to explore, the other sites that they might not ever step foot in, to gain a greater understanding of the business. It allows us to showcase our capabilities to existing and new customers. Again, with the whole COVID and restrictions around the factory, that allowed virtual factory tours. It is possible to embed live KPI data via BIs to go and show performance of machines or whatever you're wanting to monitor in real time within this environment. as well as hanging up lots of other multimedia information and imagery and videos and what have you. And then the last one there is granting access to third-party installers and auditors. So again, during the whole kind of lockdown period, when we did have a positive case, and we were able to go and send our digital assets to a company that were able to provide a quotation for a full deep clean, without having to wait for them to visit site, so it streamlines and speeds up what's necessary for people to go and quote jobs, and also there might be the need for third-party auditing for ISO requirements or the like. Okay, so lessons learned. Some things went very well. We are making great headway in terms of our digital adoption, but it's not a smooth ride, I would say. And one proverb that stands out that summarizes it well for me is this following slide, which is an old African proverb which says, "If you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go far, go together." And what I'd say is, in terms of digital adoption, depending where you are on the journey, that's probably going to be one or two people to begin with within the organization to go and explore and to crack on to go and see what is available. And then once it's all understood and there is a clear roadmap, it can't be done alone. It can't be done by a single department. It's got to be a sea change of a company-wide adoption and getting backing. And what I would say is some of those earlier projects that I talked about that can be achieved with quite little investment, they're the nice easy wins to get in, to demonstrate what is possible, and to basically solve people's problems. Everyone comes to work wanting to do a good job, wanting to have the tools available for them. Everyone gets frustrated when they can't get on, and people want to work as fast as they can generally, without going crazy. So I would say it's the real magic is in getting the rest of the organization behind you, and to do that, you've got to solve their problems. Don't be thinking that you're solving a theoretical problem. It's very much involve them in falling in love with the problem. Don't fall in love with the solution. Once you've fallen in love with the problem, and everyone's fallen in love with the problem, then everyone will welcome the solution. What doesn't work is when the solution looks really clever and really great, but it's not necessarily solving a problem as people see it. So, and sometimes that's just an alignment of people's understanding. Okay, that's it from me. Any questions?
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Wow, you've been busy for sure. Truly exciting stuff that you've been doing, and it's great to see the collaboration together with our partner Think Inside here. So it's truly remarkable stuff, and how you started resolving a certain problem, and then what the platform has enabled you to go even further when you mentioned the COVID use cases and such. So that's really nice, and yeah, I mean, I can only imagine sometimes your days of trying to really ensure people are falling in love with the problem, so that then it's easier to come with the solution. Hey, but we have a bit of time, so I have some questions from the audience. There's a question about so how easy would you say it is to adapt new workflows and business processes in an industrial environment like yours, where it's really a dynamic production environment? So a few words around that one.
Sure. Okay. So I would say we are quite fortunate in that we are an SME. So the size of our organization, and one of the things that has always drawn me to working for SMEs is the flexibility to bring change and to bring innovation. So in terms of and I suppose the fortunate nature of the owners of our business, who are very willing and happy for people to try and bring improvements, and also very accepting that you're not going to get it right first time, you're probably not going to get it right second time, but that's okay. Let's go and get those out of the way so we can get it right the third time. So I would say the ability to bring change from a pilot perspective, from a pilot run or a prototyping perspective, is relatively easy, as long as you've got the competencies there to do it, and to do things relatively cheaply. Then once the concepts are proven, then that allows the backing for a greater level of investment, and to, as I say, once some successes are over the line and confidence is built, well, then that just creates a great foundation for further investment. Once the initial ones have washed their own face, as it were.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Richard. I think we have to stop now, but again, a big thanks for sharing your thoughts and insights and experience. And for the audience now we're going to take a 10-minute break and come back after that. So grab a cup of coffee and see you in a bit. Thank you.
Great. Many thanks for having me.